Now for our roundtable with News Channel 5 political analyst Brian Crowley, author of CrowleyPoliticalReport.com, a longtime political reporter who's covered Tallahassee and beyond, out on the hustings.
Very long
I always
time,
have to say
long.
that just to get a laugh. We look right now, 1 week ago we were talking about this, Brian, the abrupt resignation of State Senator Jeff Clemens from Lake Worth after admitting he had an affair with a lobbyist. And that has opened the door to a series of issues, including reports of spying on state senators and talk of changing the rules for reporting sexual harassment. The question is, what's going on in the legislature? Republican-led, but this is not an issue that knows party boundaries. We're certainly seeing the issue explode nationwide. What's going on?
Well, you know, modern politics has always tries to see how low they can go, and this is just another area where spying on each other in the legislature is just another example of how low they can go. On the other hand, sexual harassment is a very, very big issue. A lot of these people who go to Tallahassee, whether they're lobbyists or lawmakers or even some staff, you know, many of them do very good work and try very hard to do a good job, but it's also has a bit of a sorority fraternity atmosphere up there. You know, it's an isolated area, Tallahassee. It's a little hard to get to for most people, and it's like sending your kids away to college sometimes. And sometimes people get a little too carried away up there, and that's been a long, sordid history of Tallahassee.
Both statewide and nationally, a shot across the bow. We saw late last week former members of the House talking about the same kinds of sexual harassment on Capitol Hill in Washington, while not naming male lawmakers. Said, listen, has been an issue in years past. So certainly a message that's being sent far and wide, from the political class to the entertainment class to every workplace in America.
Well, you know, part of the irony I find in all this is that when Donald Trump was being accused during the campaign of sexual harassment and worse by some women, when he had the Access Hollywood incident, he still won. Now people seem to finally be taking notice because of Harvey Weinstein, who isn't elected to do anything. Now, what he did to people over many years was appalling, but in a way, it's a little bit of a confusing message. And then we get to Jeff Clemens and his affair that he had with a lobbyist, and I don't know. I'm not quite sure yet which direction we're turning in this politically, because just a year ago it didn't seem to matter. And you go all the way back to the Bill Clinton's administration, and obviously I remember watching people flocking to him after the Monica Lewinsky scandal broke, being very supportive of him. So I don't always understand when we're taking the high road and when we're not. And
what it will be in terms of impact in the 2018 elections is the bottom line to that analysis. We just don't know yet.
No, we don't know yet. We don't know yet.
Let me ask you, one Herald Times article, Steve Bosquet, great writer, I know you know him well, his headline said in the Herald Times Tallahassee Bureau, "Paranoia rules Tallahassee as top lawmakers seize effort to tear down the Senate," talking about Senator Jack Latvala of Clearwater, a Republican candidate for governor, said he sees, quote, "an organized effort to tear us down in the Senate, make us weak so that we have a hard time standing up." And he goes on to say, and is upset, and Steve writes about, an unidentified investigator took a picture of Latvala kissing a lobbyist on the lips, one he described as a friend for 20 years. The lobbyist signed an affidavit swearing she and Latvala did not have a romantic relationship. Latvala said he knows who paid the private investigator. He's up in arms. It goes to this whole question of what's going on, and this is a Republican-led legislature right now, Republican on Republican right now, having this debate. It's quite unlike anything I've seen there in a while.
You know, I'm sure in Senator Latvala's many years in politics, he never got involved in any opposition research event about his opponents. Look,
spying, and surveillance cameras.
Sure, and you know, well, first off, as you know, that many of these candidates will have trackers that will follow them around everywhere they go, filming them. They're usually not hidden cameras. You can see the cameras. In this case, it sounds like there may have been some cameras that were more hidden than open. You know, Jack Latvala is running for governor. Richard Corcoran, the House Speaker, is probably going to run for governor. And that's what this is all about. This is about politics.
And he included a lengthy critique of another gentleman expected to run, House Speaker Richard Corcoran. He accused him of, quote, of a reign. I won't say a reign of terror, I'm quoting here, but there's not a good feeling by many, many members of the House about the control that's exercised on them. Again, all of this revolving around what we've seen last week, the whole debate about sexual harassment. Now, talk about we need a package of ethics reforms in 2018 to wipe out this blot on our character and record. Really a a nasty, unseemly mess in a lot of legislative halls and again around the country right now.
Look, you know, this is up to the Senate President and the House Speaker to set a standard for their members. And to make it very clear to them that if they cross the line in meeting these standards, there will be a price to pay. You know, unfortunately, and this is historical in Tallahassee, this isn't, I don't blame this on the current House Speaker and Senate President, but, you know, often those standards are ignored if standards are even set. There's a lot of winking and nodding that goes into Tallahassee. I don't think it's unique to Tallahassee, but there's a lot of winking and nodding that goes on in Tallahassee. And you know, a lot of the stuff they do is boorish and childish, and they need to knock it off, and they need to show leadership.
Corcoran criticized the Senate for, quote, a wall of silence after Clemens' resignation. So this, again, is going to be debated for quite some time. As you said a few minutes ago, the ultimate political impact we don't know. The societal impact we're already seeing about frank, open discussions, some of them painful, about where we need to be in this country in terms of the way we treat each other.
You know, in Tallahassee for many years, the lobbyists, with reporters fully aware of it, were picking a Miss Rotunda every year. And what they were doing was they were looking for what they thought was the cutest and hottest lobbyist, and they were dubbing her at the end of the session Miss Rotunda. Everybody thought it was amusing. Maybe somebody needed to step up, including in the Capitol Press Corps, to say, no, this isn't amusing.
Yeah. Well, and since the Weinstein revelations, an entire new debate being reset in this country, as we said at the outset, and Tallahassee not excluded. Brian will be back with more in just a moment.